Thanks for joining. You are live. It's wonderful to have you here. How can we help you?
Well, you guys are discussing today exactly my issues. So I filed for disability back in August. So I'm still in the waiting progress or, process. I'm in West Virginia and it's usually about a 250-day wait. But I also had an MRI this past Wednesday that they discovered two herniated discs, the impinged nerves, things like that. So I was glad to sign in today and catch exactly what you guys were saying about that.
Well, we did this for you.
Yep.
Thank you.
When did you last work, Whitney?
I have actually been on short-term disability. I actually work for Cigna Healthcare. I process medical claims from home.
Okay.
And I last worked, I used up all my FMLA. So then the next step was short-term disability. And that actually just ran out last week. But I haven't
Okay.
worked since August.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're seeing an orthopedic surgeon or neurosurgeon for your spine?
Yes, a neurosurgeon at the Virginia Brain and Spine Center. They're the ones
Okay.
that ordered the MRI.
What city is that in?
Winchester, Virginia.
Oh, okay. I know a terrific spine surgeon in Morgantown. That's why I wondered.
Okay.
But have you given the doctor you're seeing all of your complaints,
Oh,
the
yes.
problems you're having?
Yeah, this has been going on for about 5 years for me.
Have you had an earlier MRI also?
I had another MRI before that, which was a cervical MRI, which also was abnormal.
So your spine's erect from top to bottom.
Oh, yes.
Okay. You should start keeping a diary of your
Okay.
days. Takes me X amount of time to get out of bed in the morning.
Right.
I don't cook anymore, or somebody washes the dishes for me. Whatever you can't do or whatever you're limited in doing, keep a record of.
Okay.
You had a home sedentary or less than sedentary job. You didn't do any heavy lifting, anything
Right.
like that. So, how long can you sit at one time?
About 15 minutes, and then I've got to get up.
And how long do you get up for?
Probably about 15 minutes, and I got to sit down. I'm constantly up and down, up and down, up
Okay.
and down.
That's what you need to keep a record of. Because if you say I can only sit 15 minutes at a time, that's anecdotal to them. If you say, here's my log for the third week in December, I had a Christmas dinner and I couldn't sit through it. I had to get up 4 times during dinner.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever it is, so that you have some real documentation that's as it's happening. If you try and put it together later on, have they sent you the form yet about your activities of daily living?
Yes. The function report, I think it was called.
Yes.
Yes,
Okay. That's one of the most important forms you fill out, and people usually don't fill it out in enough detail. And that might be worth another show, Brian, just to talk about filling that form out.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
But the function report, if you just answer their questions, you're not giving them enough information. So when I help my clients fill that form out, I tell them to fill it out as best they can, and then we go over it. And everything is their answers, but there are things like, what can't you do now that you used to do before? And it's amazing how many people leave out the word work. I
right.
can't ride a bicycle. I can't walk very far. I can't do that. But they forget to say I can't work. So there's a lot of things. And that's a form that you need a lot of detail on. Have they asked if they can send you to a physician for another exam yet?
I just had that this past Friday. They sent me to an internist because I also have horrible high blood pressure, which my doctor's not been able to maintain.
I've had some people sent to urologists for their back problems, so it's okay.
Oh, okay.
How long was your exam?
It was actually very thorough. I was impressed, probably 30 minutes, 35 minutes.
Did the doctor actually touch your spine?
He did.
Have you bend over and bend right and left?
Yep, walk on tiptoes, walk on heels, stretches, range of motion.
You got a legitimate exam. Did the doctor ask why you were filing for disability?
I don't think he did.
Okay, good. They're not supposed to, but some do. And then they say this person doesn't have much wrong. They're just filing for disability because they want the money.
Right.
So when
That's
I
not my
tell
case.
people,
I'll actually make less.
of course you will.
Most,
Everybody
Right.
does.
everybody does.
When I've testified in Congress, I've always said nobody ever wants to call me.
Right.
5 years ago, you would have never thought you'd be applying for disability.
Oh, exactly.
But I tell people if the doctor says you're doing this for money or why you're filing, the answer should be, I wish I could feel better. I can't do the things I was doing. I can't be with my friends, and never answer that question.
Mhm.
No matter how many times that's asked, avoid answering it and go on to something about how your life is being ruined now.
Yeah.
Yeah. My poor husband hears that all day long, that, you know, I wish I could do this, wish we could go out to dinner. It's just the even getting in the car and just going for a ride it just doesn't work anymore.
Right.
Mhm.
What you have to do now is wait for that decision. Um, did you ask them to send a copy of that report to your doctor?
Yes, I signed a release for that.
Okay. There's a 50% chance they'll actually do it. They
Oh,
usually
okay.
forget. But
Okay.
wait and see. You had the exam last week. Once they get that exam, it goes to their medical examiners who sit in the state agency office and review things. They used to get paid by the hour, and now they get paid by the case they review. So they review about 6 times as many cases per hour and don't do as good a job of it.
Right.
Mhm.
Do you know if your physicians have sent in their records?
Like my medical records,
Yes.
honestly, I don't know. My primary care physician's office, they're not the best at it. I have to stay on top of them. We use an electronic charting system here in West Virginia. So I've made copies of all of my office notes and test results. And I actually, after my exam last week with the internist, I drove to the Social Security office and I dropped those off in person to make sure they had them.
That was at your local office, though, right?
Yes. Yes, my local office.
They may or may not get it in your file to let the people making the decision read it.
Okay.
Did you have an address in London, Kentucky, or a barcode to send records with?
Yeah, it had a barcode on it. And she did tell me that my worker was not in that office, that she sends it along to him.
Okay, well, that's good. How about your spine specialist? Do you have their records?
Just the MRI report, because I had only seen them once, and that's when he ordered the MRI, which I had just had.
I would get the office notes from that first visit and also file those, because otherwise they're going to say she hasn't seen a specialist.
Okay.
Or what frequently happens is we never got the records from Dr. So and so, and those records are floating around in the Social Security cloud somewhere, and it didn't catch up to your file.
Right.
Right. And I know a good question too, because I know that the neurosurgeon, his recommendation was physical therapy for my neck and my spine, which is fine. I've done that before with no change. I get it. I have to do it again. Um, but if he recommends things like injections or surgery, I don't have to do that if I don't feel comfortable with that, right? That's
You
not
don't
like
have
a
to do it.
requirement to get disability.
No, one of the best yeah, if you have carpal tunnel and you refuse it, they can say you're not entitled to disability. Spine surgery is a big deal. And
Yeah.
one of the best things I ever heard was from a very famous spine surgeon who tried to avoid operating on everybody. And he would always tell people who came to him wanting surgery, you can never undo surgery.
Right.
If you try everything possible before you have surgery because you can't undo it.
Yeah.
So,
I haven't heard too many success stories. Most of them are, I went through this, I went through that, I went through this, and now I'm worse. So
right.
I don't want to go through any more. I couldn't imagine being in any more agony every day.
Injections sometimes work.
Mhm.
Okay.
All right. Who's next?
Whitney, I want to thank you for joining. Please keep us up to date here at the Disability Digest. We're praying for a initial approval. Then we can, if you're a member here, we can adjust your membership to help
Okay.
you understand what you need to do if you're approved. But if you're not approved, unfortunately, then we can help you with the lesson in our disability approval course that will help you understand how to file your reconsideration if you want to do it on your own or have somebody help you. All right.
Okay. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Happy
Bye
holidays.
now.
Thank you so
You
much
too.
for being the first one joining.
You're welcome.
Yes.
You have to send Whitney a certificate.
Right on. Make sure contact our support desk with your email address.
Okay, will do.
Or at the Disability Digest. Just say I was the first.
I
All
was
right.
the first. All right. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.